Good afternoon. Hope all is well. Hope you're having a good weekend. As you can tell from the video, wanted to give my impressions between A74, A7C, and the A73, which I think is the best choice in 2022. To beat the suspense, if you watch my channel at all, you know I have the A74, so I have the A74. That's what I went with. But that's what works for me, and I'm gonna kind of go through my rationale, and hopefully, depending on what your situation is, because everyone is different, hopefully you can take something away from it and kind of get a better sense of what the pros and cons are. I have experience, I have owned the A73, the A7C, and the A74 now. The A74, I've only been shooting with it for a couple months. So again, it's kind of like a first impression, but so far so good. I'm very happy with it, and it fits for me for what I'm using it for, okay? To give you guys a sense of what I'm doing, I am primarily a commercial portrait photographer, product photographer based in California. So I'm not doing weddings, I'm not doing a whole lot of family shoots or anything like that. My primary camera, my primary shooter is an A1. So when I went to purchase the A74, this was primarily gonna be a backup / personal use camera for me. So that's where I'm coming from, and hopefully, depending on what your guys' situation, you guys can take something away from it. The A74 is far better than just a backup camera. I think if you're a wedding photographer, have one of these or two of these I mean, that's a powerhouse combo right there. This is a great camera. It's definitely no slouch, whether you're going comparable to the Canon R6. Personally, I know of a couple wedding photographers that own the R6s and have moved over to mirrorless from the Canon 1DX cameras, and they love them. Okay, absolutely love them. So whether you're in the Sony or Canon ecosystem, or Nikon or Fuji, you know, there's lots of great cameras out there. Pros and cons. I think if you're looking for a primary camera right now, your main camera, whether you're going to do this for fun or whether you're going to do this as a main source of income, you're probably looking at each of these three cameras, right? You got the A7C, which is the cheapest, well, almost the same price as the A73, depending. I think at one point the A73 was marked down to like $1,600, and then the A7C with a kit lens was like $1,800 or $2,000. So it depends on what specials are out there. Those are pretty comparable though at this point. And then of course the A74, which is right around $2,500, give or take a couple $100 if you're on sale or foreign exchange. I don't know. So the A74, it's got everything you're gonna need. It's a really solid hybrid camera. My take on it, the 33 megapixels is more than enough, especially if you're gonna be shooting weddings or whatnot. It's more than enough for me as a backup to my A1. Okay, if I were to grab my A74, I'm not gonna feel like the still images are inferior to the A1. Yes, it's not as many pixels, but the image quality is amazing. I can still crop in, because I do tend to crop in from time to time. Sometimes I want to carry a small minimal kit. I don't like fussing around too much with too much gear. So sometimes if I will need an extra little bit of reach and I like to shoot with the primes, I kind of do like to crop in a little bit. And at 33 megapixels, I've been working with this camera for a couple of months. I feel like I can do that, and I've never been at a point where like, oh man, I can't do this. Okay, I can't crop in as much as I want. So still images are great. The camera itself, the body, I can't show it to you because I'm actually filming with it right now, but the mode dial, the change dial that you have, and if you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with it, but being able to switch back and forth on the A74 as opposed to pressing down the lock button, which I do love the lock button here, pressing this down and then moving it is amazing. I don't think that can be overstated. It's It's extremely convenient. I love using it. I only wish I had it in this A1. What are you gonna do? But it is great. So if you're using the A74 as your primary camera, that alone is a huge upgrade from the A73 or the A7C. So that alone is amazing. The video quality on the camera, is obviously, you're talking about 10-bit video versus 8-bit on the A7C or the A73. You're also talking about better stabilization compared to the A73. If you are willing to go ahead and bring the footage from the A7C and use that gyro data, don't quote me on this, but you can get really good stabilized handheld footage from the A7C. But still, the A74, you're doing that all in the camera body. You don't have to take the stabilized footage into Catalyst Browse or do anything with it. It's coming straight out of the camera, looking really, really good handheld. And primarily all the video I'm taking is handheld or locked off on a tripod. So, like I am right now, it's locked off because I'm in front of the camera. So the downside with the A74 for video, obviously, if this is your primary camera, is a crop. I don't really want to get into that too much because we're not comparing this to the next level of cameras like the A7S or the A1. Yes, those are going to film full frame, no crop, 4K 60. Okay, that's a whole different story. A7C or A73, what would be a second choice probably as a primary? I guess it's really up to you. To me, it's tough. I have a hard time going into a job, into a contracted assignment or project without having some sort of redundancies and not having a second card. I love the A7C, but not having a second card, for me personally, I would restrict that camera to personal use, hobby use. If you're an enthusiast, I think that's an amazing camera. I loved that camera, love it. The form factor, the image quality, the ease of use, I love that camera. I actually have been contemplating maybe purchasing that camera again if it goes on sale or whatnot, but that's a whole different story. So it's a great camera, but for professional use, I think you're kind of restricted, or my opinion is go with the A73 or the A74, depending upon what's in your budget. Right now, the price difference, if you can save an additional money, hold off, maybe trade in some gear, I would go with the A74. You're gonna kind of future-proof yourself for at least 2 to 3 years, at least. I mean, you're probably gonna be fine for at least 5 years. The A73 is still fine. I just would hate for you to go ahead and spend $2,000 or $1,700, whatever price you can find it for, unless you get it used. But even the used prices on those are still kind of high. Again, if you can find a good deal on that camera, and that's what your budget affords you, you're still getting a great camera. But if you can stretch your dollar, stretch the money, and get an A74, you're going to be set for several years to come. With the video capabilities, the still image sizes on this camera is great, and all the other bells and whistles. I'm not going to go into great detail on all of the advantages. This is kind of just an impressions. Hey, if you're mulling over the decision process, if you're working, or you got some tax return money and you're like, hey, I kind of want to upgrade my camera, or I want to get to the next level and get a nice full frame camera, and you want to go into the Sony ecosystem, hopefully this kind of helps out that decision process. My impression of the A74 is it's a great backup camera for me, and the camera I take on family vacations, and also if I'm just bumping around myself. If I got some free time and I just want to bump around the city or beach and just grab something and take some street shots or take some landscape shots, I take the A74. It's just something I can take with me and have fun. And I don't feel limited whatsoever. And as a backup, if something happens with this A1, which it has, I can do everything I need to with this camera. It's a great camera. I'm not gonna have the speed in terms of the frame rate or in the buffer. You know, it's not gonna be as quick, it's not gonna be as responsive as the A1, no. But I would feel totally confident about going into a shoot with this camera. Another great reason why I love having this as a backup is the same menu systems. So I can flip through. You know, I have a lot of muscle memory now that I'm getting used to the A1. I can go ahead and just grab the A74 and just jump right into it, and it just kind of flows a little bit better. Even though I am familiar with the older menu systems, when I had the A7C as a backup, that was one of the things, is sometimes I found just muscle memory. I was going through new menus and kind of fumbling through with the old ones. Not a big deal, but it is what it is. So what are the cons on this camera? The cons are that it's the most expensive. So that's not fun. It's more expensive than the A73 or the A7C. It is what it is. The only way I can kind of justify that for you guys, if you're going back and forth on whether you want to spend or shell out the extra dough, is you're future-proofing yourself. You know, I always stand by the motto, like, if you can, buy right the first time, so that way you don't have to buy it twice. So that's something for you to kind of decide and figure out what's best and what's going to work best for you and your budget and your workflow and what you're doing with the camera, right? Like I said, if you're an enthusiast, A7C is awesome. Love that camera. I love that camera. Incognito, especially for traveling. That thing is a lot easier to just kind of bump around, whether in Europe or Asia or anywhere. Lay that camera down on a bar top or tabletop as you're having lunch. It's just more fun. It's just more fun to have with you and hold for personal use. So if that's what you're going for, go with the A7C. You know, love that camera, love it. And you know, hopefully they'll have an upgraded version coming out soon. So let's see, another cons besides the price, obviously, is the crop in 4K 60. It's been talked about to death. I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I think there's other advantages, like the function wheel, how you can easily switch between stills, video, and S&Q. So you have 3 custom settings for stills, 3 custom settings for video, 3 custom settings under the S&Q. That's awesome. I mean, you can flip through super quick, just one-handed between all of those, and I can't even do that with this A1. So, you know, it's a great camera. I'm really struggling for like the cons. Even the one con that I thought of, or I thought was gonna be a huge con, was the screen resolution. And if you look up a couple of YouTubers or other photographers or videographers, other people that have reviewed this camera, they're saying the same thing, is it looks great. It is a huge upgrade over the A73 and the screen on the A7C. Huge upgrade. Love it. The screen on this, it just looks a lot better. Even me going back and forth from the A1 to the A74, I don't really notice that much of a difference. I'll notice a difference in the viewfinder. That I do notice, but the screen, it's not anything that stands out and you know, it stops me in my tracks or anything. It's great. It's great. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be honest with you. So I don't understand why Sony can't put better screens, but maybe it's a battery issue. I don't know what it is, but it's surprisingly good. And you have the flip screen here too, which is a huge upgrade over the A7 III. So you can't argue that you're getting more for your money. It's really a matter of whether you are at a place or whether those benefits are going to be worth that premium price for this. I can definitely tell you I appreciate them. I love it. And for me, it's a perfect backup camera because it gives me a more than adequate camera to replace this in a pinch, if need be, for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days, however long it takes. I'm gonna be able to still get my job done, okay? Hell, I was able to get my job done with the A7S3, but that's a whole different caliber of camera when this one went down, okay? But yeah, this is more than adequate as a primary and as a professional. Hopefully this was somewhat beneficial. Feel free, I did not cover everything, and I'm sure I missed a couple of things. I probably should have organized myself a little better, to be honest with you. Learn from my mistakes. I have like an outline of points I want to hit, but I probably should have organized that a bit better. Go ahead, drop me any questions. I'm sure of the many stuff that I've missed on this video, pros and cons of each camera. I'll drop them down below. Definitely am happy with the A74, but it is pricey. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the other cameras. They're both amazing cameras. I loved using them. Probably my least favorite was the A73. I'm not gonna lie, I know that's an amazing camera. This is blasphemy for me to say as a Sony user. We're gonna bash, but for some reason, it didn't feel as good in the hand as even the A7C does. Is that weird? I know. But for what the A7C is, a nice compact full frame camera, I like using that camera. It's fun. The A74 feels amazing. I know it does. It feels great. Love it. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got. So yeah, go ahead. Drop me any questions you have in the comments. Feel free to like, subscribe, do all of that. I'll go ahead and try and attach some links down below. If you are looking into some solutions for the 4K crop to some videos that I enjoyed watching that I thought was beneficial, if you're looking to kind of get some workarounds. Yeah, and that's it. That's all I got. My rambling is done. Hopefully this was somewhat beneficial for you. And if not, yet again, I apologize. I apologize. All right, thanks. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. Get out there. No matter what camera you got, shoot, have fun. Peace.